Alrighty. That's set up. Now let's set up my notes. Hello. Tweet. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hello. Oh. Hello, welcome. We'll be starting momentarily. Excuse me. Welcome. Gonna start very soon. Just getting set up. Start in a few seconds. Start in a few seconds. Just gonna wait a little bit. Like the stream if you're here. We appreciate it. For once, got something MLB to talk about. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for episode 17 of Benny in the Booth podcast. On this week's episode, we've got MLB Hall of Fame ballot to go through and give my prediction at least for, and open ears in the comments live chat for tonight, as long as it's wrapping up Divisional round weekend, which went absolutely bananas in every game possible, and a predictions for championship weekend, all coming up. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. 17th episode of the podcast. Crazy to say, crazy with all the support. Let's get into it. For the first time in a couple of weeks, we're actually talking baseball. I know I have not given an update on the lockout. Update is nothing. I mean, they actually had negotiations today, and there was some progress made, and they are meeting tomorrow. But as of right now, MLB is still in a lockout, and that still stands. But it does not hold back from what is happening tonight. I think it's like around 7 on MLB Network. As tonight, we find out, is there going to be people making the Hall of Fame this year, or will it be a repeat of last year? And I'm just hoping at least someone makes it. If we have back-to-back years of people not making it, there's an issue. Like, seriously. Last year no one made it, literally. Last time people made it was Derek Jeter, and I think like Larry Walker. Yeah, and I forgot from the other committee. But from the main committee, this is the main committee. The rule is basically you have to be above like 70% voted in to make the Hall of Fame. And 10 years you get max on the ballot, but you also have to be above a certain percentage in all the 10 years in order to stay on the ballot for 10 years. And then you go to the other committee if they give you a second shot. There are a bunch of first years. I do have a first year prediction, I think, of a first year potentially making it. But there's a mix of people. One thing I will say for those that maybe don't necessarily know a lot with the ballot is that they don't necessarily allow steroid users or connected to steroid users necessarily in the Hall of Fame. And it's a whole controversy. But I'm going to say my prediction. I'm going to go through the ballot so you know the names. I'm not going to summarize every person's career, but I'm just going to run through the list of names. And I want to hear who you think will make it in, or if you think no one will make it in. So whether it's in live chat or if it's in the comments, let me know your predictions. I want to hear out everybody's predictions. And if you're going to put up predictions, try to put it out before the thing tonight, because otherwise at that point we already know, and it's kind of like, I don't know. But anyways, let's run through the ballot. So the ballot this year involves the following players: Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, who's on his last year of the ballot, Mark Burley, Roger Clemens, who's also on his last year, Carl Crawford, who's on his first year on the ballot, Prince Fielder, his first year. Sad story, his career. Had a great career. Ended short on a neck injury. Actually, not long ago, 2016. Todd Helton, Ryan Howard in his first year on the ballot, Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Tim Lincecum on his first year on the ballot, Justin Morneau on his first year on the ballot, Joe Nathan on his first year on the ballot, David Ortiz first year on the ballot, John Papelbon, who's on his first year on the ballot, Jake Peavy, who's on his first year on the ballot, Andy Pettit, AJ Brzezinski is also on his first year on the ballot, Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez also on his first year on the ballot. Manny Ramirez, Scott Rowland, Jimmy Rollins, who's on his first year on the ballot, Kurt Schilling, who's on his last year on the ballot, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, who's on his last year on the ballot, Mark Teixeira, who's on his first year on the ballot, Omar Vizquel, and Billy Wagner. That is a list of people that are on this year's ballot. And I have predictions of 3 people that I potentially think could make it in. One I really think really deserves in. The fact that he's not in at this point is kind of ridiculous. And I'm going to make my claim for each of them to some extent. Billy Wagner is my first. And simply put, he pretty much was the Mariano Rivera elite closer for left-hander. He was the lefty version of Mariano Rivera. Like, take some of the best right-handers, and he's basically them, but as a lefty. And he was just dominant from beginning to end. Played for a bunch of good teams, including the 06 Mets. I don't know why he hasn't made the Hall of Fame at this point, and I think he's Cooperstown bound. I hope this year, if not this year, I think some point down the line he's definitely going to be in. I think that would be a complete disrespect to how real good he was if he doesn't make it, and I think this year will be the year. So my second person I'm making a case for is David Ortiz. Now, yes, I know he kind of did have some tie to steroid use, but It wasn't really much, especially since I didn't even really know about it till more recently. Thank you, Zolly. Nice to see you in the chat. Someone who, that is, by the way, some good friend of mine from when I was in Israel. But or and also some people also have a knock about like DH. DH doesn't really matter to me. Ortiz deserves it, and I think if it wasn't for the whole steroid tie, he really could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Uh, I think he'll make it at some point, if not this year. And then my last case I'm going to make it for is Andrew Jones. Now, yes, he's definitely more known with a glove than a bat per se, but he really had a good career, and he's also infamous for that 2-homer game in the World Series against the Yankees in '96 as a rookie. I think he deserves it. Those are 3 people I'm making cases for, but I want to hear what you guys think. Maybe you guys agree with me on some player I listed. Maybe you guys think someone else deserves it. Maybe you think that they're going to put steroid people in this year. I don't know. Put in the comments who you think, or live chat, who you think will be making it this year based on the list I had just said. If you did not remember every name, Wikipedia under, it's like 2022 MLB Baseball Hall of Fame balloting. They'll give you the list. You can find the list a lot of places, especially like at the current time of recording, because about basically the results come out tonight. But let me know what your predictions are. Anyways, let's get into the NFL content. Divisional round weekend. Oh my, what a weekend this was. We started off with the Bengals at the Titans. Early on, this game was lackluster. I mean, it was 9-6. Derrick Henry had a kind of rough game overall. 20 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown. And like the touchdown was in the first half, but they missed they went for the extra point, but it got pushed ahead on a penalty, but they missed the 2-point conversion as Derrick Henry was actually stopped short on the 2-point conversion. But the Bengals, in the second half, everything went bonkers. Now, give the Bengals credit. They shut down Derrick Henry the entire game. But anyways, other than that, Ryan Tannehill also threw 3 picks. Yes, not 1, not 2, 3 picks. 2 were not his fault. They were deflected. 1 was his. It was pretty much to the defender. Now, the third one, which was a deflected one, actually costed the Titans the game, as it was a tie. The Bengals took a touchdown lead. Titans tied it, and they were driving to try to take the lead, but it was picked. But Tannehill threw a pass that got tipped and intercepted, and Evan McPherson, who actually is on the all-rookie team, knocked a 52-yard game-winning field goal to pull off the major upset over the Tennessee Titans at Tennessee to advance to the AFC Championship game, winning their first ever road playoff game in franchise history. Yes, not first time in a long time, in their franchise history. 19-16, which good for them to pull that off. Niners at the Packers. It's funny how someone actually asked on the podcast last week, like, hey, you think they're gonna, like, the Niners can keep it close to Lambeau? I'm like, yeah. Well, they didn't just do that. They did that and more. The Packers actually got the ball first. It took the opening drive for a touchdown, but after that, they were just shut down on offense. And really, neither offense did much. But the Packers special teams, which is one of not the worst special teams in football, showed why they sucked, because they had a field goal blocked and they had a blocked punt, which was taken for a touchdown, which tied the game at 10-10. And eventually, Robbie Gould would knock a 45-yard game-winning field goal to upset the Packers in Green Bay 13-10. Packers having a devastating end to the season once again. Also, their first loss at home this year. And now you start to wonder what's going to be with Aaron Rodgers. Was that his last game? Well, definitely his last game as a Packer, but will he move on to another team? Will he retire? Nobody knows yet. He hasn't said much. We'll see what happens as we go down the line. But the Niners pull off the upset 13-10. That was from the Saturday. Sunday games, Rams at Buccaneers. This game was bananas. The Rams were eating up Tampa early on, up 27-3. But the Buccaneers fought their way back thanks to 4 fumbles by the Rams to make it 27 with like a few seconds left. But the Buccaneers defense choked, giving up big plays to Cooper Kupp on the drive, and you completely blame the Tampa Bay defense for this loss, as Matt Gay would then go and knock a game-winning 3-yard field goal against his old team to win the game for the Rams 30-27. And could this be the end of Brady? It's a question everyone's pondering. I think it's definitely something that could happen, but who knows at this point? Especially when he's always said, "Oh, I'm going to play till I'm like 50." So who knows at this point? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And the last game to recap, Bills at the Chiefs. Before I even go into this explanation, I'm just going to flat out say this, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree in the comments. This was the best playoff game ever. Like, ever. That I have seen live, that I haven't seen live, ever. Back and forth, knock for knock, blow for blow, punch for punch. Glenn Davis becoming the first player in Super Bowl era since 67 with 200 plus receiving yards and 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. Now, this game should have ended in regulation multiple times. It was literally touchdown for touchdown, field goal for field goal. I mean, literally, the Bills had a field goal lead with a touchdown 2-point conversion with like 13 seconds left. And yeah, the Chiefs had timeouts, but that should have been game over. But the Chiefs were able to knock in a last-second field goal to force overtime. They got the ball and took it down for a touchdown to win the game, 42-36. And here's the question that everybody's wondering. Should the playoff rules be changed? Because as of right now, the rules are you get the ball. There's a new coin toss to see who gets the ball first. And if the first team goes down and gets a touchdown, game ends. Field goal, the other team gets a chance. And people are wondering, should it be adjusted out automatically? The other team gets a chance. And this is an interesting question. I feel like it should. Now, someone actually proposed a interesting call, and I will credit this YouTuber who came up with this idea. His name is, his real name is Brandon Perna, but his channel name is That's Good Sports. He's a Broncos fan YouTuber. Go check out his channel. I don't have a link in the description, though I should have probably, now that I think about it. But he does great content, not just Broncos, but also general NFL, power rankings. And he's very good YouTuber with great content. Go check him out in YouTube. Just search up That's Good Sports on YouTube. But anyways, he came out with this idea that the overtime rules should be adjusted, but only for the playoffs. Because the playoffs is where it could impact the most, especially with the fact that there's infinite overtimes in the playoffs versus regular season, you only get one overtime. And I thought this was a good idea. So we'll see what happens. And what's funny is the Chiefs actually, after their loss to the Patriots, when Mahomes didn't even get the ball in overtime, also wanted this. And how it's coming back is a question a couple years later when it happened in their favor. So we'll see what happens. Not sure if it will change or not, but we'll see what happens. And that is divisional round. That was the NFL divisional round this past weekend. For the first time on the podcast in NFL predictions, because in college football I went over before, but in NFL predictions, I did not get a single prediction right. I literally picked one upset, the rest in favor of the higher seed, and it went the complete opposite. So I went over 4, and my total record, including regular season and playoffs, is 126, 78, and 1. Just by playoffs alone is 4-6. So yeah, hoping to bounce back this week. Championship game predictions. 2 games, 2 predictions. Bengals at the Chiefs. I give all the credit in the world to the Bengals for what they've done this year. And they got lucky with who they're facing. Because if they were facing Buffalo, Burrow would be dead. Because the Bengals O-line got exposed against the Titans. Burrow gang sacked 9 times. And I'm going to make a guarantee right here, right now. and you could credit me most likely when this happens, the Bengals' number one piece to get in this offseason, whether via the draft or free agency or trades or both, is gonna be O-line, because it got exposed against Tennessee. And if they were facing Buffalo, Burrow would be dead, automatic loss, and they'd get their tuchus whooped. But they're facing Kansas City, which is not as good of a defensive line. Now, it is a pretty good defensive line, don't get me wrong, but it's not as dangerous. I think he'll be able to handle it more, but I still pick Kansas City. I do think they are the better team at the end of the day. So I have Kansas City winning this game and getting the rematch. And then the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the 49ers. Oh my. Third time we've had this matchup this season. And I think the Rams will win this one, getting revenge for what happened in week 18. So I'm basically setting up Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl. Now, I do want to throw in before we end the podcast, because this is the final note. One more note after this, but technically, if the Niners and the Chiefs were to win their respective games, we could literally have Super Bowl 54 matchup all over again between the Niners and Chiefs. Not sure if it will happen or not. We'll see what happens. But that's this week's episode of the podcast. And once again, I didn't get any recommendations for extra content. But again, if you have something for me that you want me to talk about that maybe I didn't write in my notes to talk about for the next episode, let me know in the comments, because I'm really open to doing other topics that maybe I didn't note to talk about, and I'm open to doing it. But that's this week's episode, and let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for coming back for this week's episode of the podcast. Next week, we're going to go over who actually made the Hall of Fame this year and who didn't, or did nobody make it. We'll have championship game to recap and Super Bowl to, well, I guess not predictions, because that won't be for another week. But maybe I'll talk about the Pro Bowl. I mean, not much to talk about, but maybe I'll mention it. We'll see what happens. And who knows what else could pop up between now and then. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's try to get to between 75 and 100 subscribers by late April, so hopefully late April, early May, I could do that MLB The Show opening night stream for you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe down below. Leave notification bell on so you're notified when I go live or post a video. See you in the next one. Bye.